Hello students, I am Sachin Prakash and I teach and mentor students in chemistry for IIT I believe that the real confidence which is required to crack this IIT exam will come only when you are confident in tackling good problems. And that clarity and understanding of concepts will only develop when you are really comfortable in handling these problems. So this video contains the paper discussion which I have conducted in my uh, classes online. Okay, and a lot of good doubts are there which I have discussed here. It will be helping you people in understanding, developing an understanding in how to approach and tackle good problems. Okay, and if you like this, if you found this paper discussion video to be useful and interesting, you can, like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, which will surely, motivate me to add some more useful videos of this type. Okay, because ultimately it's this is just an effort, honest effort, small honest effort from my side to help the student, uh, help my students as well as other students also in their ITJ preparation. So let us begin with this paper discussion. Okay.
Yeah, so today we are going to start a paper discussion on AFT 12, paper 1. Okay, so this is the paper. Okay, the first section is a single digit integer type. Okay, and then you have like 8 questions there. And then you have one multi-correct questions, which are this one. And then up to 38 you have multi-correct, and then you have matrix match 2 by 2 in which multiple options are correct. Okay, and this is something like that. The last question is a good one. Okay, I mean, from stereoisomers point of view, such questions I want are actually discussed during the paper discussions only. So we people are lucky to have that question with us. Okay, so see, these paper discussions, these papers are meant only for learning new things. Okay, and that is why it is very important that we should be you know like discussing all the important points so that your understanding is becomes better and better. Okay, so 21 to 24. Any doubts?
So 24.
24. 21 is not a doubt. Anyone? See, 21, I have done it somewhere. Okay, it is like this. Okay, so you see 21, it is given T 13.5%. This means that at the end you are having 0.865 remaining. A is going to 0.865. T 25% means A is going to 0.758. And KT is equal to ln by A by A minus X. So A minus X is the final concentration. So I can write these two equations and then I divide them. I will get this expression, and then ln K2 by K1 we can use, and we'll get this answer. Okay, answer will be 53.6. We have to sum up the digits. Okay, and ignore the decimal places. So this is how we'll be getting the answer. Okay, this is the process which you should be aware of. Okay, so this expression, first order expression, you should always keep in mind. Okay, and whenever two rate constants are given, just write the equation and divide them. Then you get K2 by K1, and then you can use the Arrhenius equation to find the relationship between them and the temperature. And from that you can also get the activation energy. So here the pre-exponential factor which they have given, it is not required. Everyone is getting this point? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so 21 is done. 22. Okay, I will just discuss because if someone is not. So 22, you see, it is given that a buffer contains equal concentration of X minus and HX. When that is the case, pH is equal to pK plus log of x minus by hx, and x minus and hx are equal. This is pH is equal to pK. Generally, I use it as a result. Okay. So whenever your concentration of salt and acid or salt or base is equal, pH is equal to pK, pOH will be equal to pKb, depending on whether it is a acidic or a basic buffer. Okay. Now it's here, instead of giving K of Hx, they have given pKb of x minus. For a conjugate acid base pair, you always remember pK of Hx plus pKb of x minus is equal to 40. This is always true. Okay. So if this is given, you can find out this. Now we need this only, so we find out pK of Hx, which is 4. So pH is equal to pK is equal to 4. Are you getting a point? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Question number 23. 23, you see, in this case, equivalent conductance is given. Okay. So instead of M, I should write equivalent. Okay. So alpha is always equal to the observed conductance minus theory, ideal conductance. Ideal conductance is conductance at infinite dilution. Okay. That will be the maximum possible conductivity which, you know, a given set of ions can have in aqueous solution. So you see the observed conductance is 10 and at infinite dilution it is 100. So alpha will be lambda equivalent by lambda not equivalent. That is 10 by 100, which is 0.1. Now this H plus is coming, this H plus, this equivalence is coming from dissociation of acid. Okay, weak acid. So if we write H is equal to H plus plus A minus, and what you say? Concentration is C. The concentration of H plus at equilibrium will be C alpha. You know alpha, you know C. You can find out H plus concentration. So that will be 10 power minus 2 and pH is equal to 2. Are you getting, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Question number 24. Now 24 is a good question. Okay, I think this is a question which covers the entire thermochemistry in a single question. Okay. So you see, question is given that you are having a magnitude of, they're asking for calculating the magnitude of the ring strain energy. Okay. And for cyclopropane using the following data. Now the data they have given is something like the heat of formation of cyclopropane. This is the actual heat of formation which they have given. And then they have given heat of formation of carbon atom, and here they have given heat of formation of hydrogen atom. Now how to do these type of questions? We first write the formation equation for C3H6. What will be that? It will be elements in the native state combining to give the molecule. Okay. So C3H6 consists of carbon and hydrogen. So carbon, 3 carbon in the solid state, which is graphite, will be combining with 3 moles of hydrogen in the gaseous state, and it will be given C3H6. This is the formation equation for C3H6. So in this case, whatever be the delta H for this reaction will be heat of formation of C3H6. Now this will be a theoretical heat of formation. Why? Because it is only considering, you know, making and formation of bonds. It is not considering other factors. Okay. So that is why the actual heat of formation will be varying from the theoretical heat of formation. Okay. Now this process can be visualized in multiple steps. Okay. So we can visualize that carbon solid is first going to carbon gaseous. For this, delta H1 is required. 3 hydrogen is going to 6 hydrogen gaseous. Delta H2 is required. And third is that these atoms combine to give this C3H6 molecule. So in this case, delta H3 is required. Now you see, delta H1 will be what? It will be 3 into heat of formation of C1 gaseous. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And delta H2 will be 6 into heat of formation of hydrogen. So it is 6 into 220. And delta H3 will be bond energy of reactants minus bond energy of products. A bond energy of reactants will be 0 because all the atoms, all the atoms, all the combining reactants are there in their atomic state. There is no bond between them. So bond energy of reactant is 0, and bond energy of products, you have C3S6. So it is something like this. Each carbon is having 2 hydrogens. So 3 carbon will have 6 CH bonds. So 6 into bond energy of CH plus 3 into bond energy of CC. Okay, so this is the 3 into bond energy of CC, 6 into bond energy of CH. So this way, if you put the values are like 355 and 410, you will get the values to be minus 3525. Now, if I put delta H1, delta H2, and delta H3, will get, and sum it up, I will get the value to be minus 60 kilojoule per mole. Now, delta H, ring strain. Now, you see whether it is ring strain or ion or resonance energy. Okay. Always remember that delta H, whatever is the extra difference between actual and theoretical, that will be either resonance energy or ring strain, depending on whether a molecule is getting stabilized or destabilized. Now, if it is resonance energy, then the delta H means the difference between actual and theoretical will be negative because energy is always released during resonance. If it is a ring strain, this means that the energy will increase because you have to give energy to make an unstable molecule. So in this case, it is actual minus theoretical. It is 55 minus of 60. It is 150. So they are asking for sum of digits. So the answer is 7. Are you getting my point, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand this point? This is a very important. This is the Hess law of constant heat summation. Okay. So you have to write these things in order to get this type of question. And this is the most, best variety of question which can be formed in thermochemistry. Okay. So if you are able to do this or understand this, you can do any other question which is there. Is it clear to all of you? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So after this, moving to 25. Now 25 is something which, was troubling for me also, not because I can't get the answer. Answer getting is very easy, but making you remember the answer is a bit complicated. So then I searched the net for some stuff and then I found out this. Okay. So you see there are like 10 essential amino acids. Okay. And, there should be a way of remembering their names. So I get this, got this from internet only. It is like PVT Tim Hall. Okay, this is will cover the name of all the essential amino acids. Okay, so PVT stands for Private Tim Hall. So it's a military term. Okay, so P stands for phenylalanine, V stands for valine, T stands for tyrosine. Then the other T stands for tryptophan, I stands for isoleucine, M stands for methionine. Okay, methionine contains sulfur. Then comes the basic amino acids. H stands for histidine, A stands for arginine, L stands for lysine. And the last one will be leucine. Okay, so always remember there are certain points which I got from that. All acidic amino acids will be non-essential. All basic amino acids will be essential amino acids. And all branched amino acids, okay, L, I, and V, leucine, isoleucine, and valine, all will be essential amino acids. So if you remember that all branched amino acids are essential and the name is given, see if the names are given, you can easily figure it out. But if the structures are given, you see isoleucine, this is a branched molecule. So it is bound to be essential amino acid. Like this is having an NH2 group, it's a basic amino acid. So it has to be a what? Essential amino acid. This is again a phenylalanine. Okay. It is also what you say as essential amino acid. So answer should be 3, not 2. Okay, so there will be a key change here. Are you people getting this point? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 25 is done. 26.
Sir, it should be 2 power 3, no?
Why 2 to the power 3? They're asking the number of optically active essential amino acids in this. They're not asking number of optical isomers of this polypeptide. This is
Okay.
asking that when you are hydrolyzing it, how many amino acids you will be getting, which are optically active. So glycine you will be getting, but glycine is optically inactive. Okay. So this is 25. Okay. Am I recording it? Oh, yeah, I'm recording it. Okay. So question number 26. How many compounds will give blood red coloration with FeCl3 in Lassen's test? Okay. Now see, Lassen's test basically is the sodium fusion test, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what happens is that carbon, nitrogen will combine to give Cn minus. If sulfur is also there, it will combine to give SCN minus. And SCN minus will give blood red coloration with Fe3 plus, forming this complex Fe SCN whole 4 minus. Okay, so this is a blood red color complex. This means that the molecule should contain sulfur, nitrogen, and carbon all in one. So the only molecule which suits our description is option C. So answer is 1 here. Okay. Question number 27. How many of the following ores are carbonate ores? So you see, this is a fact-based thing. Okay. So this, we will be getting this type of information through question papers only. Siderite is FeCO3. Okay. Limonite is FeO.NH2O. Okay. It is basically a hydrated iron oxide. Then zincite is ZNO. Okay. Dolomite is MgCO3.CaCO3. Calamine is ZnCO3, and malachite is basic copper carbonate COOH whole twice dot COCO3. So 1, 6, 4, and 5 are the answers. Okay. So this is question number 27. Question number 28. Now 28. See, which of the following reagents will give blue colored solution or precipitation? Now you see, if you are having Cu2 plus with NH3, it forms CuNH3 whole 4 2 plus. Now, just like NH3, RNH2 will also behave in the same way. Okay. So instead of NH3, if I write RNH2 whole 4 2 plus, it will also give blue color only. Are you getting my point? Yes or no? Yes, no.
Yes, sir.
Now, other 3 options are not correct. Why? Let us look at one by now. K4FeCN6 will give Cu2FeCN6. What is the color of copper ferrocyanide? Anyone?
Chocolate brown.
It is chocolate brown. What is the color of zinc ferrocyanide?
Colorless.
It's white. Okay. Colorless white. Generally, you say white. Don't say colorless in these cases. Then ferric ferrocyanide.
Blue. Blue.
It is Prussian blue. Okay. Ferric ferro or ferroferric. Okay. Both will be blue only. Okay. One is Prussian, another is Turnbull's blue. But both are essentially blue color. And Prussian blue and Turnbull's blue, both are same colors. Okay. So 2, 3 cannot be the answer. Now in 2 and 4, you see Cn minus is a pseudo halide ion and I minus is a halide ion. Okay. Both will be acting as reducing agents. So you see, what will happen is that when you are having Cu2 plus, okay, so this is a point which we are getting through this paper discussion only. Okay, but I have discussed this with you people in the class also. I minus is a good reducing agent and Cu2 plus is a mild oxidizing agent. So it first gives Cu plus plus I2. Okay. This Cu plus combines with I minus to give Cu2I2. Okay, plus I2. Okay, so Cu2I2 is white in color. Okay, and sometimes this Cu2I2 combines with this to give CuI3. Okay, so due to the presence of I3 minus, it is dark brown in color. Okay, so that is why, and okay, Cu2I2 is not brown in color, CuI3 will be brown in color. Okay, now similarly, if your reaction is with Cn minus, now you see Cn minus will behave like a halogen. It is a pseudo halogen. So you will get Cu plus Cn whole twice. This Cu plus will combine with Cn minus to give Cn whole 4, 3 minus, plus cyanogen. Now Cn4 3 minus, will it be, it is colorless. Can you tell me why? Is it colorless or not? Yes or no?
Because there are no unpaired electrons.
Yeah, smart answer. That is the case, but is there no unpaired electrons because you are having a strong field ligand like Cn minus? Is it because of that? Is there any forced pairing taking place in this complex? Everyone is
sir.
free to answer. There is no forced pairing taking place. Why? Acha, what is the hybridization of this complex? Can you tell me? Is it DsP2? Okay, I will give you one more option. Okay, you are having CuCN whole 4, 2 minus. Okay, and CuCN4 3 minus. What is the hybridization of this complex? What is the hybridization of this complex? Yes, anyone? Some cross questioning I will do just to keep you people alert.
So
Sir,
both are sp3.
SP3.
Both are sp3. Why?
Because it is in D9 configuration.
Yes. It is in D9 configuration. This you are correct. Okay, so both are sp3. Okay. So tell me, what about this? Why is it colorless? What is the configuration of this sp3 you are saying? Okay, and what is the configuration of this? Yes, no.
That is also sp3, sir.
That is sp3. What is the configuration of this?
sp2d.
Yes. So if this is sp2d, then this also has to be sp2d only, no? If NH3 can do, like strong square planar, then obviously sp2, this can also do square planar. Yes or no? Getting my point? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is colorless. These two will be blue color because of unpaired electron. So DD star transition. Are you getting this point? Yes or no?
No, sir.
Do you have any issue with this being sp2d? Yes, no, something.
Sir, how is it sp2d?
See, its shape is square planar. Okay, and I have told you that the Huggins rule is there, that you see, in case of copper, you are having Cu2 plus, you have a D9 configuration. Okay, so what happens is that this electron is not what you say as, if it has to form dsp2, then this electron has to be promoted here. But that will mean that Cu2 plus will get oxidized easily to Cu3 plus. That doesn't take place. This means that it is remaining here. This d orbital is being used. This is 3d, 4s, 4p, and 4d. Are you getting my point? This I have discussed in the class also. Getting or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the case. So this is the opportunity for me to, remind you of these things. Okay. 28 is done. So can we move forward? 29, is it out? Yes or no? Let me see if I've done 29. Yeah. So you see, CO2 will react with NaOH and it will give Na2CO3 and H2O. So you see, if you're using 1 mole of NaOH, then CO2 used will be 0.5 moles. This means that the other 0.5 moles of the mixture will be CO. Now, if you're oxidizing this CO to CO2, it will again consume 1 mole of NaOH extra. Okay, and that 1 mole of NaOH will be coming from 56 grams of KS solution or 2 liters of M by 2. 2 into 1 by 2 will be giving you 1 mole. 1 mole. Are you getting a point? 29, is it clear? Yes, no?
Clear, sir.
Okay. So 29 is done. 30th question. See, it is giving that you are having a reaction CrO5 plus H2SO4 giving Cr2SO4 whole thrice plus H2O plus O2. Now they have not given a balanced equation, but we can balance it very easily. There are 3 sulfate ions, so put 3 here, and then only hydrogen is only present at one place, which is 3H2O. So 3 H2SO4 means here 3 H2O will be there, and 2 chromium is there, so you pick 2 here, and rest we balance the oxygen atom. Okay, so if you do this, you'll get this, what you say as equation as the balanced equation. Now they are asking for the incorrect statement. Okay, just 1 minute, I need to mute all of you. Now you see, Oxidation state of chromium in CrO5 is +8. Is it correct or not? Sorry, +8.
It should be +6 only, no, sir.
It should be +6 only. So this is an incorrect statement. Chromium cannot have more than +6, and if it is +6, this means there are some peroxide bonds. So we know that the CrO5 is having a butterfly structure. So Cr is +6. There are 4 oxygen atoms with -1 oxidation state and 1 oxygen atom with -2 oxidation state. This one is -2. Okay. So D, 1 mole of CrO5 will liberate 9/4 moles of O2 is an incorrect statement. It will liberate only 7/2 or 3.5 moles of O2. Option B, in the above reaction, oxidation of one element in CrO5 is taking place. That is correct. O minus is going to O2 as well as O2 minus. So here you see oxygen is on oxygen. It is -1 oxidation state. It's going disproportionation. 2 minus is going to -2 as well as 0. Are you getting my point? And one of the elements is going reduction. That is also correct. Both chromium and oxygen are going reduction. Are you getting this point? Yes or no?
So once again,
See, Cr +6 is going oxidation to +3. So it is going reduction. Yes or no?
yes.
O minus is going to O2 minus. In water, it is O2 minus. And in oxygen, it is 0. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So it is going oxidation as well as reduction both.
Yes, I understood.
Okay. So this is done. Question number 30. B and C are correct statements. 31. 31, I think I have discussed here. Yeah. You see, rate of effusion is inversely proportional to molar mass under similar conditions. You can write it like this. R effusion X3 by R effusion CH4 is equal to under root of 16 by M, where 16 is the molar mass of CH4 and M is the molar mass of X3. So that is given to be 4 by 3. From this, M will come out to be 9. Vapor density will be 4.5. And if you are calculating density, rho will be equal to PMW by RT. That will be 0.4017 if you do the calculation. So B and D are correct. Atomic weight is 18 is wrong. Atomic weight of, see, it is a triatomic gas. So atomic weight of X will be 3, not 18. Are you getting my point? And atomic number is 3 is also incorrect because we can't predict that. Are you getting my point? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 32. 32 is not a doubt. It is a simple question. 1-2 addition, 1-4 addition. Is it a doubt? 32? See, if you are having, if you are getting 1-2 product, this means that the most stable intermediate will be giving the product. So in this case, you'll be getting most stable carbocation is 3 degree plus allylic, this one. It will be giving the 1-2 product. Okay. In this case, the product is having a double bond, which is not the most substituted double bond, which can be formed. If you are making TCP, then you will be getting a most substituted double bond, which will be the most stable product. So 1-4 addition in this case will give TCP and 1-2 addition will give KCP. Is it clear to you people?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Yes, tell me.
In 31, what will the atomic number be?
You can't predict. If you know atomic mass, you can't predict atomic number. No. You can say that it will be less than 3 for starters. It can be either be 2 or it can be 1. Now, if helium is 2, okay, then normal helium metal is He24. So it has to be an isotope of helium, which is He23, or it can be tritium also. Means if you are talking about real world options. Are you getting a point?
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
But then
and the
he-
atomic weight will be 9 into 3, no?
Array, we have all, it will be 9 by 3, no? See, this
Okay,
X3 is
okay,
9.
sir. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah. That is good. 33. In 33, you see, you get this carbocation and then there will be a ring contraction in this case. Okay. So this is one of the rare cases when a 7-membered ring will go to a 6-membered ring, and you get a 6-membered ring which is stable plus a 3-degree carbocation, which is highly stable. And after that, H plus will go such that you get the most substituted double bond. Okay. So this will be the major product, this will be the minor product. Are you getting my point? But they are asking possible products, so answer will be A and B.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is done. Question number 34. 34, I discussed a while back. Do you want me to do this question again? I discussed this as a doubt in the group. Is 34 a doubt?
Discuss, sir.
Okay. I think who asked this question? I think someone asked this question. I gave the solution on the group also. But anyways, let us see. You see, we are reacting it with NH3. What will happen? NH3 attack here. So first we will be getting NH2 and OH. Now this lone pair will attack here, and you will get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5-membered ring. So starting with nitrogen here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At 5th carbon, you will be having a CH3 group. Okay. And you will also have an OH group. So I can write OH and CH3 here. Okay. And at 2nd carbon also you have OH and CH3. Now you see, since you have a base in the mixture, this, okay, let me just write it. This OH and this H will go, this OH and this H will go. Okay, so in that case, you'll be getting like this. Yes, Vaishnavi,
Nothing, that was by mistake.
just getting bored, raising hands. Okay, H2 and Ni. This is convert all the double bonds into single bonds. So now you are left with this. Now after this, you are going for what you call as Hoffman's exhaustive methylation. So what will happen is that there's a hydrogen here also. Okay. Okay. You are getting now how we are writing hydrogen. First, it forms NH2 plus, then it loses an H plus. Everyone is clear about this? Yes or no?
Sir, NH3 will do dehydration.
NH3 is a base, so it will do dehydration. Plus dehydration leads to an aromatic ring here.
It can take the acidic hydrogen, no?
Huh?
Like NH3 is a base, no sir. So it can take the acidic hydrogen.
Yeah, but after that, nothing will happen now. First, it will try to make an aromatic system. Are you getting a point?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Now, if you're doing Hoffman's exhaustive methylation, first you will be getting this compound. This NH will attack here and I minus will go out, then H plus will leave. So you'll be first getting CH3. Okay. And then again CH3I, it will attack. And this time you will be getting a cation. Okay, now you see this is a good leaving group. So you see group hydrogens at beta position. This is alpha and this is beta carbon. And this is also beta carbon. This is also beta carbon and this is also beta carbon. So the less substituted hydrogens will go. You remember the Hoffman's elimination? Yes or no? So this hydrogen if it goes and this hydrogen if it goes. Okay, then you will be getting this type of product. Plus NCH3 whole thrice. Are you getting a point? Yes or no? This moves like this. This moves like this. Is it clear? Actually, this formation will take place in two steps. So A and B are the products. P. Sripriya, are you a new student?
No, sir, I'm Vaishnavi.
Okay. The name is very, new name, so that's why. Okay. No, it is written PGP. Okay, so that is why. Are you using some ID which is a MBA student's ID?
Yes, sir, it is my sister's.
Okay. Then it is good. A sister is studying in IM.
Yes, sir.
Which one?
Kozhikode.
That is very good. Final year or first year?
Recently she joined, sir, first year.
That's very good. Very hectic schedule in the first year. Okay. So they are having online classes. Okay. 34 is done. Yes, no. Something out of UV per. Here Ag2O is acting as a base. Ag2O will be giving OH minus in small amounts. Everyone is clear? Yes or no? Say something, no? If there is a doubt, say that also. Yes, no. This is the whole mechanism. Is it clear 34?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 35. Is it clear? Semicarbazone. You see, that lone pair will be acting as nucleophile which is localized because it is there with the atom all the time. Are you getting my point? So you see, this lone pair can be delocalized, this lone pair can be delocalized, but this lone pair is remaining, so it will act as a nucleophile. It's localized. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 35 is done. 36. 36 is a fact-based question. Ozone is unstable, that is true, and it is a blue diamagnetic gas. That is also true. Okay. But the color blue is not due to unpaired electrons because there is no unpaired electrons in ozone. Are you getting a point? So it has to be due to charge transfer only. Getting a point? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
B. The central oxygen atom of ozone is sp2 hybridized that you can get from the structure. Option C. It causes tailing of mercury. Now, tailing of mercury, see, normally mercury is having a convex meniscus, means it is going up. But when you shake it with, it comes in contact with ozone, it forms HgO, due to which it becomes a concave meniscus, means it is down the horizontal level. Okay, if this is the horizontal level, convex is up and concave is down. Okay. So you see, it is tailing the horizontal level. It is below the horizontal level, so we call it as tailing of mercury. Okay, so that is due to formation of Hg2O. Okay, mercurous oxide. Okay, now if you just shake it again, then mercurous oxide is highly unstable. It decomposes again to give fresh mercury. So again, you get back the meniscus. Are you getting my point? So this is the tailing of mercury. I've discussed it in ozone. Do you remember it? Yes, no? Or can you recall it? I should not say remember.
No, sir.
That is very good. Okay. Even if you don't recall it, it's good that we are discussing it right now. Last one, it does not react with KH. It is wrong. It reacts with KH. It forms ozonide. Okay. Potassium ozonide, KO3 minus plus O2 plus S2. Okay, so you should remember this reaction. So D is not correct. See, ozone is highly reactive, so it will react with a lot of stuff. Okay. Question number 37. Is it a doubt? These are fact-based things. They are acting as good catalysts because they have partially filled d orbitals in which they can take, electrons from other compounds, so they can form surface compounds. They can show variable oxidation state, means they can adjust the number of d electrons in their vacant d orbitals, and easy interconvertibility of oxidation states due to low oxidation and reduction potential. They can easily lose or gain electrons to create that vacancy in which they can get electrons from outside. Are you getting my point? So all
Yes,
these
sir.
three will make them act as good catalysts. Okay. B is not correct. Color has nothing to do with catalytic action. Okay. 38 is easy. Yes or no? Is 38 easy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 38 is molecular orbital theory. I think that you can figure out all the options. Okay. There's nothing in there. CO, the last electron, if you're removing, it is getting removed from sigma star 2s orbital. So if you are removing electrons from a sigma anti-bonding orbital, the bond strength is going to increase only. Okay, bond length order, you see in case of O2 there are two unpaired electrons. Okay, and in the anti-bonding orbital, if you remove one of them, bond order is going to increase, bond length is going to decrease. The bond length order should be actually O2 minus greater than O2 greater than O2 plus actually. I was done at bond strength. Okay, so I think 38 is easy for you people. 39, is it out?
So for B,
Huh.
why will we get T?
Because I have given you as a special case that you see when you are doing nitration, your medium is highly acidic. So this NH2 gets transferred into NH3 plus, which is a meta-directing group. So you'll get a significant amount of meta product. Are you getting my point?
Okay, sir.
So when you're doing the nitration of aniline, you will get a para product as 51% and the meta product as 47%. And ortho is just 2%. Okay, this is the product mixture which is observed. And we give explanation based on that. Since the medium is highly acidic and aniline is basic, so a significant part of aniline is converted into anilinium ion, which is a meta-directing group because it is an electron withdrawing group. So you also get a significant amount of meta product. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and other options are clear to you people? It is a straightforward question. There is nothing in this question. Chlorine will give Friedel-Crafts reaction because the lone pair is not basic enough to react with AlCl3. Are you getting a point? So chlorine will give Friedel-Crafts reaction. Moderately and highly deactivated things will not give Friedel-Crafts reaction, but chlorobenzenes and anisole both will be giving Friedel-Crafts reaction. Okay. This will be also giving Friedel-Crafts. Okay. After this, question number 40. Obviously, it should be a doubt. Yes, no. Anyone who did 40, I will be very happy if you would have done at least one of them. You people just left it. What is the doubt?
Explain, sir.
Okay, so let us start one by one. First, PT, BN whole twice. They have given BN. What is BN? So BN is something like this. Okay, CH3, CH, NH2. So BN is something like this. Okay, so you see it is having two lone pairs. So it will form a chelated complex with M. Are you getting a point? Is it clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you see these two are chiral centers. So here CH3 can be up, CH3 can be down. Getting my point? Yes or no? I need a yes or no at every stage.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because it took me a lot of time to think how to make you people understand this thing. Okay. Now you see, I can write a configuration in which all CH3 are up, 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 up. Yes.
Yes, sir.
In that case, you see, all up and all down both mean the same configuration. Okay. So I am saying all up. For all up, this will be the plane of symmetry. Getting my point?
Yes.
See, a square planar complex will always have a plane of symmetry, but you see, due to presence of these two groups, CH3 an H. There's an H here also, which is down. Okay, we have to also check for the presence of isomerism in the ligand also, optical isomerism in ligand. So you see, ligand is having chiral center, so we have to check for the plane of symmetry of the overall molecule. So it is having this type of plane of symmetry. Are you getting my point? Yes or no? It is not having a molecular plane of symmetry because CH3 is up and hydrogen is down. Okay, so it won't be asymmetrical in the molecular plane. Getting my point? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So 4 up will be meso because of POS. If I put one of them to be down, then the plane of symmetry won't be this one. There won't be any plane of symmetry in that case. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 3 up and 1 down will have D plus R. So it will have 2 stereoisomers. Now let us take again this case. You have 2 up and 2 down. Now in this you can have different arrangement. You can have 2 up like this. This is up and this is up, and this is down and this is down. Okay. In this case, this is the plane of symmetry. Are you getting a point? See, in this case, either you will have this line or this line to be the plane of symmetry. You cannot have a diagonal plane of symmetry because the molecule is not exactly square planar because there are 2 pentagonal ends also. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is a plane of symmetry, so this configuration is meso. Now I can also have a configuration in which it is something like this. The opposite ends are up and opposite ends are down. In this case, you can't have a plane of symmetry, neither this one nor this one. Are you getting my point? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this will have D plus L 2. Okay, now I can also have a configuration okay. So 2 up and 2 down, I have got this. Okay. So it is coming out to be 6, right? They are saying 7. So you can have these 2 up, these 2 down. One minute. There's one configuration which is missing. Okay, that is what I want to see. Now, so both amines are there, both amines are there.
Sir, in one more configuration, 2 CH3s to the right can be up and 2 CH3s to the left can be down.
No, it is something like this actually. That I have written it wrong here. Okay. Something like this. Are you getting a point? In this case, it will be a meso configuration if you take this plane of symmetry. Are you getting a point? Yes or no? This is also a 2 up, 2 down case. Getting a point? Yes or no?
So can't we have like 3 up and 1 down?
3 up and 1 down will be, is here, no? That we have already discussed. That it will have D plus L. I have not written it separately. If you want, I can write it down.
Okay, sir. No.
Is it clear? But I assume that you people would have understood when I have just explained it there. That if right now it is a
Understood.
plane of symmetry, if you just put 1 down, it won't be a plane of symmetry. Everyone is clear? So in this case, the answer will be 7. The case A. Are you getting this point? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you see, in case B, you see the ligand is slightly different. In case B, the ligand is something like this. Instead of putting CH3 here, I am now shifting the same CH3 to the nitrogen. Are you getting a point? Yes or no? Now you see, this nitrogen is again sp3 hybridized. Getting a point? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you see, if it is forming bond, then this CH3 can either be up the plane or down the plane. The only thing is, instead of going here, we have shifted our CH3 group here. It is the same case as previous one. Getting a point?
Yes, sir.
So again, in this case, you will be having 7. Similar to these cases, the only thing is, instead of here, I am putting it here. And instead of here, I am putting it here. Clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this will also have 7. Now this is something which need a presence of mind. Okay. After this, C. C is PT di-ENCl. Now di-ENCl is something like this. It is a tridentate ligand. So in tridentate ligand, there can only be one configuration. There cannot be any other configuration. Okay. So it will not have any stereoisomerism. Getting a point? Because the ligand itself does not have any chiral center. And it cannot show any GI because only one slot is available for chlorine. Are you getting this point? Yes or no? Yes, no. Something.
Yes, sir.
This gives rise to option D, PDALA whole twice. ALA with alanine. Alanine will have a CH3 group, so it is a chiral center. So you will be having these cases. You will have a case and it will have a nitrogen and an oxygen. So you see, it is a AB type of complex. It says MAB2. So if it is MAB2, one structure can be AB and AB. And another can be AB and BA. Are you getting a point? Yes or no? Are you understanding these two structures?
Yes, sir.
Now, in this structure, we have to look for the optical isomer. Why? Because the ligand contains a chiral center. Are you getting a point? When ligand contains a chiral center, you have to check the overall molecule for plane of symmetry or not. So you see, in this case, I can have a configuration where both CH3 groups are up. If both are up, then there will be a plane of symmetry, something like this. Getting a point?
Yes, sir.
Then it will be meso. And if one is up and another is down, it will be D plus F because there won't be this plane of symmetry. Getting a point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this will be 2 here and 1 here. So it is 3. Now, you see, if I say that this CH3 is attached like this, then again you can have an up and up down case. Now you see in this case, if this is up and this is down, then it will have a center of symmetry. Because you see this going like this going like this going like this going like this. Are you getting a point?
Yes, sir.
So due to center of symmetry, the up-down configuration will be meso. An up-up configuration will not have any plane of symmetry in this case. So it will be D plus I. So 2. Because there is no diagonal plane of symmetry in these cases. So total will be 6. Answer is P.
Sir, then in even case of A, we'll get center of symmetry, no? Like in A.
A.
Mm.
How? You see, this is up, there is no corresponding, this is up, there is no corresponding group down here. Are you getting my point?
No, sir, in A, that P, T, B, and hold twice.
This one.
Yes, sir.
See, in this case, in this configuration, you won't get a center of symmetry. Because this is up, you need a down CH3 for center of symmetry here. Are you getting my point? But this can have a center of symmetry. This is having a plane of symmetry as well as center of symmetry. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that way you can see. That I am leaving up to you. Again, this will also have a center of symmetry.
The above one will also have a center of symmetry.
This
no, sir?
one,
Yeah.
how will it have? See, diagonally the elements are not up and down, no? Center of symmetry means that suppose I am drawing something like this. Okay. Then if this CH3 is up, this has to be down. Okay, and this CH3 is up, this has to be down in order for this to have a center of symmetry.
Okay, I understood, sir.
Are you getting a point? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I hope that today we discussed some very good questions on stereoisomerism of coordination complexes. These are the questions which I was waiting for that they will ask in the grand test so that I can discuss it with you people. You see, in a normal regular class, the time is very less to discuss this type of questions. And you people are still very, very kids when it comes to maturity of the concepts. But now you people are experienced enough to tackle these type of questions. So now you are having an exposure to that also. I think you should be able to do the questions. Is there any physics class today? At 11? Yes, no?
Don't know, sir.
Okay. So with this, I am ending this paper discussion. Okay. So I'm just stopping the recording right now. Okay.